in Python is a list or a collection of items that is unchangeable. So when we create a tuple, we cannot make changes to that collection if it's a tuple. So let's say we want to create a tuple of programming language. We say language and then we use bracket, just the regular bracket. And then if we put our programming languages inside, this is PHP and this is Java. This is a tuple, and you see it's bringing, we can check for the type by passing a tuple, and it will tell us it's a tuple. So we can't make changes to this tuple because it is unchangeable. We can't make changes to tuple. If it was to be a list, and maybe we comment this guy, see this one is a list because this is the language. We can add items to a list by saying append. So let's say we want to add Java, and when we are done, we want to print language. You see, we have Python, PHP, JS, and Java. Java have been added. If this wasn't a list but a tuple and we run the same code, we'll have an error because it says tuple object has no attribute append. When you create a tuple, you are creating a collection of items that you do not want to make changes to. You can't add, you can't remove, you can't update. That is why it is unchangeable. So that is the unique feature about tuple. Tuple is important when you need to create basically things like, a perfect example would be a blockchain. When you store transaction on chain, you do not want to be able to have access to change or alter the content of the transactions that you stored. So tuple is the best case. So that is a perfect example of tuple, and there are tuple methods. These tuple methods are functions built in with tuple that you can use alongside the tuple. So you can add new item to a tuple. You can get the length. The length is not a tuple method. Length is a function on its own. This will give the total number of items in the tuple, and we can use the tuple method. Let's say we want to use the count tuple method. So tuple has two built-in methods, the count and index. The count will return the total number, a particular variable that you pass in the count when you're calling the function. For example, if we put JS inside, it will return the total number of times JS appears inside the tuple. So if we print this, we should get 1. If we had Java here and have JS here again, make some space. If we run this, we should have 2, which because JS appears 2 times. If we put Python, we should have 1 because Python appears once. So that is how count works. For index, index helps us search for the item in the list and returns the position of that item in the list. So if we're checking for index of Python, this is found in position 0, it should return 0. If we put JS, it should return 2 because JS is 0, 1, 2. So we also have 1 here, but it returns 2 because 2 is the first one you will get to before you get to this one. So once it sees 2, it doesn't even get to this part of the iteration before it breaks out and returns the index. So as soon as it sees it, it just returns the index. So if we put PHP here, you get 1 because it's 0, 1, so the index is 0, 1. So that is all about tuple and tuple methods. You can iterate over a tuple just like a list. You can, let's iterate over this tuple, say item in language, and yeah, this language, and you print item. You see, you can perform everything you need to do. You can do it a list, you can do it with a tuple, you can create a variable and say I love item. So putting this variable now, it will now print I love Python, I love JS, I love PHP, and so on. So that is pretty much about tuple and tuple methods. See you in the next chapter.